There is a question that has echoed through the minds of men for generations, whispered in quiet moments of doubt, asked in the silence of empty rooms, and pondered in the spaces between failed relationships. What does a woman truly want? Not what she says out loud in moments of frustration or politeness, but what she quietly keeps in her heart, the things she rarely voices because she has learned that asking for them directly often leads to disappointment. If you have ever asked yourself that question, then what follows may completely change the way you understand women and help you build deeper, more meaningful relationships. There are 7 things that most women genuinely appreciate but rarely express directly. They almost never ask for these things, yet they are often the small moments that leave the deepest emotional impact. And by the end, you will discover one important principle that connects all of them, a principle that, once understood, will transform every relationship you have. Before we begin, there is one thing you should understand. Many men believe women are difficult to understand because they focus only on words. They listen to what is said and assume that is the full story. But women often communicate through emotions, tone of voice, eye contact, body language, and subtle changes in behavior. They are not trying to confuse anyone. It is simply the way they naturally express themselves. When a man learns to notice these quiet signals, a woman feels truly understood. And feeling understood without having to explain everything is one of the strongest emotional experiences anyone can have. The philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein, one of the most influential thinkers of the 20th century, observed that the limits of language are the limits of our world. When you learn to read the language that exists beyond words, you expand your world and hers. You enter a space where connection becomes possible. The first thing many women secretly appreciate is gentle, caring physical affection. Imagine offering her a relaxing massage with warm lotion or scented oil after a long day. It may seem like a simple gesture, but it means much more than physical comfort. It tells her that you notice how she feels, that you want her to relax, that you are not rushing anything, and that her well-being matters to you. Most women deal with stress every single day, yet very few openly ask for comfort or support. That is why a man who shows kindness without being asked leaves a lasting impression. What truly matters is not the massage itself. It is the feeling that someone genuinely cares about her. The philosopher Martin Buber, who wrote extensively about the nature of human connection, distinguished between I-it relationships, where we treat others as objects, and I-thou relationships, where we truly encounter another person. When you offer a woman gentle touch without expecting anything in return, you are entering into an I-thou relationship. You are encountering her as a whole person, not as a means to an end. That is what makes the gesture so powerful. It says, without words, I see you. I care about you. You are not alone. The second thing is natural, confident flirting. Many men avoid flirting because they are afraid of rejection or worried they will seem too forward. But most women enjoy light-hearted, respectful, and genuine conversation. A sincere smile, steady eye contact, a thoughtful compliment, or a playful joke can completely change the atmosphere. You do not need perfect lines or rehearsed conversations. Women respond far more to authenticity and quiet confidence than to carefully prepared words. When a man is simply himself and enjoys the conversation, it becomes naturally attractive. Consider a practical scenario. You are at a social gathering, and you notice a woman standing alone, looking slightly uncomfortable. You do not rush over with a rehearsed pickup line. Instead, you walk over casually, make eye contact, and say something simple like, "You look like you are trying to figure out how to escape this party." She laughs, and the tension breaks. You have not tried to impress her. You have simply been real with her. And that authenticity is what makes her want to keep talking to you. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who wrote with penetrating insight about human nature, observed that we should not confuse the mask with the face. When you flirt naturally, you are not wearing a mask. You are showing her your face. And that is what she is drawn to. The third point is surprisingly simple, gently running your hand through her hair. For many women, their hair is closely connected to their femininity and sense of comfort. When a man softly touches her hair in a calm and intimate moment, she feels warmth, trust, and emotional closeness. The key is choosing the right moment. For example, when you are sitting together in the evening, talking quietly, or simply enjoying each other's company. In moments like these, such a small gesture often becomes more memorable than expensive gifts. Imagine a scene. You are on the couch after dinner. She is tired, maybe a little quiet. You do not say much. You just reach over and gently run your fingers through her hair. She leans into your hand. She closes her eyes. She does not say anything, but her body language tells you everything. She feels safe. She feels cared for. She feels connected. That moment is worth more than any diamond bracelet. It is a moment of true intimacy, and she will remember it long after the night has passed. The fourth point is making her feel protected. Something as simple as gently placing your hand on her back while walking together, or putting your arm around her shoulders, can create a powerful emotional response. These small gestures tell her that you are paying attention, that you care, and that she is not facing the world alone. Over time, it is these everyday acts of kindness that build trust, comfort, and emotional connection. Strong relationships are not built on grand romantic gestures alone. More often, they are built through consistent care, respect, and the feeling that someone is always on your side. Consider a scenario. You are walking through a crowded street and she is navigating the chaos. You do not make a big show of it. You just place your hand on the small of her back and guide her through the crowd. It is a small gesture, but it communicates something powerful. It says, "I have you. You are safe." She will feel that. She will remember it. And she will associate that feeling of safety with you. The philosopher John Dewey, who wrote extensively on experience and education, observed that human beings learn through experience. And the experience of feeling protected by you is one that will shape how she feels about you for a long time. One of the qualities many women value most is being with a man who makes them feel safe and emotionally secure. But this has nothing to do with being aggressive, controlling, or trying to dominate every situation. Instead, it is about being calm, steady, and emotionally mature. A confident man does not lose control when life becomes difficult. He does not react with anger or panic. He stays composed, thinks clearly, and handles challenges with confidence. If someone disrespects the woman he is with, he stands up for her calmly and respectfully instead of creating unnecessary conflict. This quiet strength gives a woman something she deeply appreciates, a sense of security. She feels that she is with someone she can rely on, someone who remains steady even when things do not go as planned. But there is one important distinction. Protecting someone is not the same as controlling them. There is a huge difference between making a woman feel safe and making her feel trapped. A man who respects her freedom earns her trust. A man who constantly tries to control her slowly pushes her away. Women usually notice that difference much sooner than most men realize. Consider a scenario. You are at a restaurant, and the waiter makes a dismissive comment toward her. The insecure man yells at the waiter, making a scene. The confident man calmly addresses the waiter and says, "That was not appropriate. I would appreciate it if you would apologize." He stands up for her without losing his composure. She feels protected, not embarrassed. That is the difference. That is what makes her trust you. The philosopher Immanuel Kant, whose work on ethics emphasized treating others as ends in themselves, would agree that when you protect a woman without controlling her, you are treating her as an end, not a means. You are valuing her for who she is, not for what she can give you. The sixth point may sound surprisingly simple. Sometimes, all it takes is saying, "I had a dream about you last night." Those few words can create a much stronger emotional impact than you might expect. When a woman hears that, she does not only think about the dream itself. What she really hears is that she has been on your mind, even if you were not consciously thinking about her. She feels that she has become a meaningful part of your inner world. That simple thought often feels warm, personal, and romantic. You do not need to invent an incredible dream or make it sound dramatic. Just mention it naturally during a conversation. It is the sincerity behind your words that makes the moment memorable. And long after the conversation ends, there is a good chance she will still be thinking about you. Imagine a scenario. You are having a casual conversation over coffee. She asks how you slept. You say, "Actually, I had a dream about you last night." She is intrigued. You tell her a simple, honest version of the dream, Nothing too elaborate, just something that shows she was on your mind. She smiles. She feels special. She feels seen. That moment will stay with her. It will linger in her thoughts long after the coffee is finished. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, who wrote extensively about the nature of love and commitment, observed that the deepest love is often expressed in the smallest gestures. When you tell her she was in your dream, you are expressing something deep. You are telling her that she occupies a space in your mind that no one else does. That is powerful. Finally, let us talk about the seventh and perhaps the most important point that women deeply appreciate: feeling truly heard. Not someone pretending to listen while waiting for their turn to speak. Not someone interrupting every few seconds. And not someone trying to solve every problem immediately. Instead, they appreciate someone who listens with genuine attention and real interest. Most women carry emotional pressure every day. They manage work, family, responsibilities, and often support the people around them. That is why having someone who simply listens without judgment or pressure is incredibly valuable. When a man consistently creates that kind of emotional space, trust naturally begins to grow. Over time, she starts sharing more of herself, her dreams, her fears, her private thoughts, the things she does not tell most people. That is how real emotional intimacy is built. Consider a scenario. She comes home after a difficult day. She is frustrated, tired, and overwhelmed. The insecure man immediately tries to fix her problems. He offers solutions, tells her what she should have done, and tries to cheer her up. But he is not listening. He is solving. The confident man simply sits down with her and says, "Tell me about it." He listens. He does not interrupt. He does not offer advice unless she asks. He just lets her talk. And when she is done, he says, "That sounds really hard." She feels heard. She feels validated. She feels like she is not alone. That is what creates emotional intimacy. That is what builds trust. That is what makes her want to be with you. The psychologist Carl Rogers, one of the most influential figures in humanistic psychology, emphasized that the foundation of deep connection is unconditional positive regard, the ability to accept and listen to another person without judgment. When you listen to a woman without judgment, you are offering her unconditional positive regard. You are telling her that she is safe with you, and that safety is the foundation of love. Now, let us bring everything together. All 7 points we have discussed share one powerful idea. Women are not primarily moved by expensive gifts, luxurious surprises, or perfectly planned dates. What touches them most is sincere attention, genuine respect, emotional presence, and consistent care. It is the small moments repeated over time that create the deepest emotional connection. A man who understands this does not have to become unforgettable. He becomes memorable simply because of the way he makes a woman feel. So instead of asking yourself what grand gesture you should make tomorrow, ask yourself a different question. Are you willing to slow down, to truly pay attention, to genuinely listen, and to be fully present with the woman standing in front of you? Because in the end, that quiet presence may be exactly what she has been hoping for all along. Let us explore each of these points more deeply, because understanding them on a surface level is not enough. You need to internalize them. You need to live them. Gentle, caring physical affection is not just about touch. It is about intention. It is about communicating through your hands what your words sometimes cannot. The philosopher Maurice Merleau-Ponty, who wrote extensively on the phenomenology of perception, observed that the body is our primary way of being in the world. When you touch a woman with care, you are communicating with her through the most fundamental language there is, the language of the body. That is why it matters so much. And the same is true of flirting. Flirting is not about manipulation. It is about play. It is about creating a space where both people can relax, laugh, and enjoy each other's company. The philosopher Johann Huizinga, who wrote about the nature of play, observed that play is a voluntary activity that creates a temporary sphere of activity with its own rules. When you flirt, you are entering into that sphere of play. You are creating a space where connection can happen without pressure. That is why it works. Running your hand through her hair is not just about the physical sensation. It is about the emotional connection that comes with it. Hair is one of the most intimate parts of the body. It is personal. It is private. When she lets you touch her hair, she is letting you into her personal space. She is trusting you. And that trust is the foundation of everything that follows. Making her feel protected is not about being a knight in shining armor. It is about being present. It is about being someone she can count on. It is about showing up when it matters. The philosopher Gabriel Marcel, who wrote about the nature of presence and hope, observed that presence is not just being there. It is being there in a way that matters. When you stand up for her, when you guide her through a crowd, when you simply put your hand on her back, you are being present in a way that matters. And that presence is what she will remember. Finally, listening is not just about hearing words. It is about hearing the person behind the words. It is about being fully present with her, not as a problem to be solved, but as a person to be understood. The philosopher Martin Heidegger, who wrote extensively about being and time, observed that human beings are characterized by their capacity to be present to themselves and to others. When you listen to her, you are being present to her. You are entering into her world. And that is the most profound gift you can give. If this video helped you understand what she truly wants, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another video. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these 7 points resonated most with you. I read every single comment, and your stories help shape the content I create. Stay grounded, stay present, and I will see you right here in the next one.